Oh!
So many doors.
Coming on the left. Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. Check. Check, 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 check. 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 Check, 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 check. Wow, this thing is not good. Check, check. check, check. 1, 2, 3, check. Check 1. Check, check. 1, 2, 3. Check, check, check.
Hello. I said hello. Welcome everyone to our final headline event at the 2023 Massachusetts Poetry Festival. My name is Crystal Valentine, Festival Manager, and on behalf of, thank you, and on behalf of everyone here at Mass Poetry, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I'm not sure if everyone here believes in magic, but we are in Salem. Therefore, I ask you to brace yourselves for the magic that is about to happen on its stage, as it has happened on all of the other stages, all of the other rooms, dare I say or wish, all of the other people that have been a part of this festival. How magical it is that I get to work alongside such brilliant and tender minds with the joint cause of putting together a festival of words, a congregation of feeling. The festival is coming to a close, but I hope that you take a bit of this magic with you in your pocket, in your journal, in your heart next time, because it is never goodbye. It is always see you later. It is always, hopefully, if the universe and magic allows it, see you soon. I would like to begin our programming by introducing Mahogany L. Browne. Mahogany L. Browne is the executive director of Just Media, a media literacy designed to support the groundwork of criminal justice leaders and community members. This position is informed by her career as a writer, organizer, and educator. Browne has received fellowships from Kavikanam Poets, Mellon Research, Rosenberg, and others. She's the author of recent works Chlorine Sky, Woke, A Young Person's Call to Justice, Woke Baby, and Black Girl Magic. Browne is the founder of the diverse lit initiative Woke Baby Book Fair, and she's excited about her latest poetry collection. I Remember Death by Its Proximity to What I Love is a book-length poem responding to the impact of mass incarceration on women and children. She is also the first ever poet in residence at the Lincoln Center. That deserves applause. Most recently, Mahogany has read Chlorine Sky, which Curtis Review says, through a process of self-discovery and by listening to the stories of girls around her, Sky learns to stand in her truth and determine what she's worth. Writing in free verse, Browne explores concepts that will resonate with readers navigating toxic friendships and budding relationships. Mahogany is ambidextrous in the way she is able to move with ease from genre to genre, whether it's poetry, young adult novels, children's books, or essays. She builds a universe where folks who are often overlooked and othered can finally see themselves reflected, celebrated, acknowledged. She writes of Angel and Vinyl Moon, a teenager maneuvering her way through the labyrinth of heartbreak and love, finding that she herself is the light at the end of any blocked path or tunnel. She sheds light on the realities of incarceration. She uplifts and speaks power into Black people, teaching us that our voices are necessary. The truth is that with the agency and urgency demonstrated in her lyrics and words, there is nothing that Mahogany L. Browne can't do. There is not a bridge that she cannot build towards a future where we can all thrive. The truth is that Mahogany L. Browne saves lives with her words. I'm a witness and testament to that, as she has been my mentor since I was 17 years old, as she has been countless of other people's mentors that she taught and loved and carved space for them and us when no one else would. Let's please give a long round of applause to Mahogany L. Browne.
Jeez. So I had a poem to do, but now the tears. So who knows what will happen, friends? I really love Crystal so much. And so this poem's for you. They say you ain't supposed to be here, Black girl. You ain't supposed to wear red lipstick. You ain't supposed to wear high heels. You ain't supposed to smile in public. You ain't supposed to smile nowhere, Black girl. You ain't supposed to be no more than a girlfriend. You ain't supposed to get married. You ain't supposed to want no dream that big. You ain't supposed to dream at all. You ain't supposed to do nothing but carry babies and carry felons and carry weaves and carry silence and carry families and carry confusion and carry a nation, but never an opinion. Because you ain't supposed to have nothing to say, Black girl, not unless it's a joke. Because you ain't supposed to love yourself, Black girl. You ain't supposed to find nothing worth saving in all that brown. You ain't supposed to know that Tina, Beyonce, Cicely, Shonda rhymes, shine, 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 Black girl. You ain't supposed to love your mind. You ain't supposed to love. You ain't supposed to be loved up on. You only supposed to pose voodoo child, vixen style. You're supposed to pop out babies and hide the stretch marks. You're supposed to be still. So still they think you statue. So still they think you chalked outline. So still they keep thinking you stone. Until you look more Medusa than Viola Davis. Until you sound more Shanae than Kerry Washington. until you're more side-eyed than Michelle Obama on a Tuesday, but you tell them you are more than a hot comb and washing set. You are Kunta Kinte's kin. You are a black girl worth remembering. You are a threat. Knowing yourself, you are a threat. Loving yourself, you are a threat. Loving your kin, you are a threat. Loving your children, you black girl magic, you black girl fly, you black girl brilliant, you black girl wonder, you black girl shine, you black girl bloom, you black girl, and you turning into a beautiful black woman right before our eyes. Thank you. No more tears. All right. I got to get through the poem. I didn't know it was going to be a Sunday sermon. Amen. A woman, as Sonia Sanchez would say. So I'm going to read from Chrome Valley, my newest collection of poems. And I'm going to try very hard not to cry no more. You know? I'm going to wait till I get to watch the rest of the poets so I can then cry properly. How many of you have talked to your family members for poems to source poetry? Okay, that's your homework assignment. For you who did it, good job. A+, A+, A+. For those who haven't, who else will archive us if it's not us? The Blackest Night, 1993. Jesus came to the crib, saw the blackest girl with her box braids and hammer in hand climb past the steel-gated screen door, looked at the shorty with the gleaming scalp, shining bright, black girl lips smacked at the sight of Jesus. Everybody around these parts bend corners quick, so she like, where you been? She questions his arrival, late as a summer sunset, but still hot and on time. Praise be. Jesus don't hold grudges. Come right into the crib, black girl staring with salty eyes as fly as he made her, and he like, that's good. If you know anything about James Weldon Johnson, he ended the poem, The Creation, with That's Good, which was the very first poem I memorized in 4th grade. And so it only felt apropos to bring him back into the space. BL-K, girl, with an epigraph. God, who that? Alice Walker. 'Cause you ain't seen none of them praying when they crack baby skull open wide on the sidewalk, call it jump in. Like a black child need to know how destructive a leap can be. Like his black skin know what in mean in the first damn place. They say family and gang, all the same, so it ain't mean nothing different when your uncle sit over you. Let his fist get to dancing on your black girl head and your black girl nose and your black girl chin be all mangled like a disaster tailored just for your frame. And he think he testing you for the waters so the sharks know you the toughest meat. And that's the shit that will save a bitch. So you take each blow like a puppy, drunk on its own whimper, hold his 3-year-old daughter as far away as possible, his scabbed knuckles swinging wildly against the dusk of a girl. And so I want to tell you a story. It goes like this. Your stomach is already hot with giggles 'cause you ain't never heard somebody worth something to listen to say the word slut like this. And I guess you're right. But the story still needs to be told about the girl from Los Angeles and the time she moved into your neighborhood. Her first week smelled like a Sweet Valley High chapter. Except she is nothing like Jessica. No blue-green eyes, no blonde hair, nothing except her girl shape and her dangerous eyes. And she is everything like you, except the boys like her, and not when no one is looking. And every day, everyone is looking. Her acid-wash jeans announce she is not from here. She is different. You think you could want to be this type of different. You think You could want this type of different holding your name. After school, everyone walks home by the swallow of oak trees near the quiet bend and soccer post furthest from the park. And you want to follow the crowd, to sit beneath the shade, but you have chores, but you have not been remembered yet. An acid-wash jeans girl is not your friend yet. So you have no real reason to pretend you belong. And the next day, you try not to be impressed, your mouth a silent O. When you return to school, the new girl with acid-wash jeans is no longer shiny, no longer new, just another brown girl gone black and unwanted and almost closer to you, and her name is a bone in their mouths. All because her acid-wash jeans were caught around her ankles at the park with one of the loudest swaggers. He claimed the prize. He raised his hands. He say with a barrage of snarls, she stank, she nasty, she let me. And after school, no one is walking with her. No one is following her, unless to laugh at her, call her fish girl, call her anything but her name. And so this collection allowed me to really go back into my snapshots, my high school, these moments where I interviewed family members, to figure out why I learned love the way I did, why I accepted painful conversations that usually had me on the other end, waiting for someone to consider me, to see me, why those were the first line of defense for me. And so these poems, I realized it began at home. But it's not all sadness. There is joy too. I just want to say all of my sadness is wrapped up in joy. So it's like a little Snickers bar. You bite into it, you're like, that's good. Oh, that's terrible, but it's so good. So when I think of my fighting ways, it comes from the matriarchs in my family. And the next couple will be from the voice of my grand aunt, Betty, or her story, and how she taught my grandmother. Betty says, Betty didn't take kindly to a man's instruction. She preferred to tell him where to shove his opinion instead. My grand aunt was the oldest to a brother with bricks for hands. Her glare promised a gun button for any man that touched her expensive handbag. At the age of 90, she didn't hesitate to swing. Cutting the wind in half with her sinewy arm, she snarled, "He trying to take my stuff." She was usually right. Betty says she taught her sister-in-law 3 things. 1, how to cock a gun. 2, how to bet on racehorses and win. 3, how to run, why to run, and when to stand tall against a dynamite suit of a man. A cigarette stiff on the cliff between her lips the entire time. Betty says, I got a secret. I knew I would be nobody's bride. It's better like this. Besides, I ain't into taking gifts from horses. No way. She was tough. She was tough. She didn't play with nobody, not even us. She's like, kids, shut up. We were like, give me water. Okay. Orange rinds. Grandma told you the story, orange rinds upturned on their backs beneath her fingertips. She grin and say she ain't care much about the sneaking around or the drugs or the mishandling of money, and you believe her, 'cause she got the silky hair you always want and the brown skin that promises you gonna be cute to someone other than your mama. One day, but today, your jerry curl is bubbling up a song on the back of your neck. A crisp onyx, because the California sun is not as forgiving as your grandmother be, and she peel each orange, almost smile at the thought of your grandpa Dempsey, and everyone call him D, like his name is so sweet. You just gotta get it off your tongue. And he just one pretty skinned, wavy hair, slick firecracker, spit shine of a man. She smile, the type to wink at a woman and watch her return with the chicken plate and 2 biscuits without ever acknowledging the wife attached to the ring on his left hand. He the only husband quick enough to give grandma 2 children before her mouth changed the locks on the front door. She sucked the Tishan flesh. Any man forget his God long enough to call you a black bitch, be the first man to get gone. I told y'all. My grandmas didn't play. Muddy waters. When I think of my grandfather, I never think of him as a fighter. I think of him military memory, hand tools, slapping 5 and sipping coffee. A chipped cup to his lips, easy like his smile, like a man that loved the blues. I never think fist or shove or pummel, loosening teeth or bursting lips like fruit. I only remember a kind man, beckoning me to the kitchen table, his legs crossed, noose-like in a pair of paint-speckled jeans, his smile, a ray of whatever brightens the sun. He always offered me a sip of his coffee, sweet and mud dark. And I'm gonna do one more piece, and then we're gonna do a meditation together, and then I'm gonna sit down and cry properly, okay? Love you. So this is a palindrome. Anybody knows what a palindrome is? Of course, we're at a Writers' Festival. Ew, you know stuff. So this is a palindrome. It's called Before. Before I knew the ceramic, splintered man with copper fists, I met a man with my eyes placed strategically on his face. The eve of my graduation, the man with my grandpa's name found me. My ultra perm bounced like an abandoned cord against my shoulders. My smile followed. He introduced me to his new wife, a cathedral of lost things. His stepdaughter called him daddy with milk teeth. After the memorable meeting, he asked me for a ride to the ruptured nest of his mistress. He called my hopscotch boyfriend square. He called his cathedral a bitch. I clenched, the crater to the tender part of my mouth, and he reeled back. From my juggling switchblades, he fell on the detonator and cried crack, crack, and crack, and crack, and assault with a deadly weapon, breaking and entering, fortified his bones. Pelican Bay transfers became home. West Oakland fame claimed his myth. He wanted a son to carry his paragon of patriarchy. The first grandbaby was a girl, with his eyes placed strategically on her face. He stole double-winged pigeons, a fluttering prayer. He had a coop, a mangled nest of barbed blood. He watched his mama and daddy fight, a flurry of wolves. He sat on the hood of a city car and dreamed of country dew. He was the firstborn dust cloud to a pair of Louisiana pit stops. His parents stole themselves one night, tucked him tightly in the womb. Before, his parents stole themselves one night, tucked him tightly in the womb. He was the firstborn dust cloud to a pair of Louisiana pit stops. He sat on the hood of a city car and dreamed of country dew. He watched his mama and daddy fight, a flurry of wolves. He had a coop, a mangled nest of barbed blood. He stole double-winged pigeons, a fluttering prayer. The first grandbaby was a girl with his eyes placed strategically on her face. He wanted a son to carry his paragon of patriarchy. West Oakland fame claimed his myth. Pelican Bay transfers became home. Breaking and entering fortified his bones. Assault with a deadly weapon. Crack and crack and crack. And he fell on the detonator and cried crack. He reeled back. From my juggling switchblades, I clenched the crater to the tender part of my mouth. He called his cathedral a bitch. He called my hopscotch boyfriend square. He asked me for a ride to his mistress's ruptured nest. His stepdaughter called him daddy with rotten milk teeth. After the memorable meeting, he introduced me to his new wife, a cathedral of lost things. My smile followed. My ultra perm bounced abandoned against my shoulders. The eve of my graduation, the man with my grandpa's name found me. I met a man with my eyes tight, tightly placed strategically on his face. I knew the ceramic splintered man with copper fists before. And so, thank you. Thank you. So I would like to close my time with a small meditation. If you feel comfortable, place both feet firmly on the ground. Make sure your heels are touching the earth. Go ahead and stretch your hands up to the sky. Yes, feel that stretch. Pull that vertebrae apart, okay? Wiggle them fingers. Start wiggling that tush. Yep. Let it all go down. And as your hands come down, see if your eyes go down with you. If not, you can look at me. It's fine. Deep breath in through your nose. Hold your breath and think of the ways in which you prepare to leave your home every day and return safely to yourself. Exhale. And I hope something is able to stay with you, protect you, and help you throughout the day. Today you will. Today you choose. Today is yours. Today is only today. Tomorrow ain't here yet, so slow down. Slow down. Breathe softly. Breathe slowly. Breathe for the homies that ain't here. Breathe for the homies that is. Breathe for your own good skin, your smile, your you. Come back. Come back. Come back to yourself. Look at your cheekbones. Look at the loft of your eyebrows, you so worthy. You so heavy in your weight of yes, you so necessary. You so fly. You wet the water. You cool the brow. You heat the skillet. You the sunset and the sustenance. You keep them chasing the sparks you leave. Today you will. And today you choose. And today is yours, yes, today is only today. Because tomorrow ain't here yet, so slow down. Slow down. Breathe. Softly. Breathe. Slowly. Breathe. For the homies that ain't here, breathe. For the homies that is, breathe. For your own good skin, your smile, your you. Come back. Come back. Come back to yourself. Miraculous stargaze. Most fortunate sky beam. Beyond brilliant, be your resilience, but you knew that already. Who told you any different? You tell them, today you will. And today you choose. And today is yours. Yes, today is only today. Because tomorrow ain't here yet, so slow down. Slow down. Breathe. Softly, slowly, breathe. For the homies that ain't here, breathe. For the kin that is, breathe. For your own good skin, your smile, your tribe, your you. Come back. Come back. Come back to yourself. Anything that don't heighten your stride, leave it today. Anything that don't propel your wingspan forward, leave it today. Whoever told you you wasn't strong, whoever told you you wasn't fly, whoever told you you wasn't brilliant, whoever told you you wasn't beautiful is a lie. Deep breath in through your nose. Exhale doubt through your mouth. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you so much for having me. Peace. All right. I have to say, I needed both those words and those deep breaths. Can we hear it one more time for Mahogany L. Browne? Thank you. All right. And next up, I'm honored to introduce Ilya Kaminsky. Ilya Kaminsky was born in Odessa, Ukraine. He is the author of Death Republic, which was the New York Times notable book for 2019 and a National Book Award finalist, and Dancing in Odessa. He is the co-editor and co-translator of many other books, including Echo Anthology of International Poetry, and his work has received the Los Angeles Times Book Prize. Thanks. Ilya Kaminsky is such a presence in poetry that to speak just of his collections and awards feels reductionist. Ilya Kaminsky gives so much to this art. He champions both young and unsung poets, poets in translation, untranslated poets. He encourages us by example to dig deeper, to read closer, to love language and each other, as if everything depends on it. And yes, Ilya Kaminsky's work reminds us everything does. A writer who simultaneously possesses such humility and such unapologetic breadth of vision is rare to find. Perhaps rarer still are poems that feel like they could be memorized and recited by anyone on earth, without sacrificing voice and specificity. Kaminsky's collections are full of lines and ideas both urgent and indelible. He has a gift for crafting lucid, aphoristic passages that speak to contemporary experience, yet feel as if they've existed forever. Such a gift brings to mind this quote from Borges: "What is good belongs to no one, but rather to the language and to tradition." But there is nothing rigid or calcified about Kaminsky's work. His language has a remarkable lightness, always almost airborne. So maybe I shouldn't speak of possessing or being possessed by language and tradition, but rather of giving language and tradition back to the air as prayer does. As Mahmoud Darwish said, "Clarity troubles, extreme clarity is a mystery." The extreme clarity of Kaminsky's poetry shows us how our language might become vital again, how we might reorient ourselves, how we might reclaim meaning, how instead of drowning, we might dive for the last time. Welcome, Ilya Kaminsky.
Thank you so much for these kind words, which I'm not going to be able to live up to, so I might as well go back to where I came from. Thank you also for this incredible reading. My God. I'm definitely not going to live up to that, so I should probably go back to where I came from. Truly life-giving reading. Thank you. Now, as you may have noticed it by now, I speak with a pretty heavy accent. So hopefully by the end of the week that we will spend together, right, you will also all speak with a pretty heavy accent. But in case you need help, there should be handouts in your chairs if you don't have them. Right here, just stop by, say hello, take one. And I'll read you some poems. Thank you all for being here. Thank you those who have made this festival possible. It is really such a humane community. Humane is a word that I keep coming back to in the past 3 days. So much conversation, human to human, even though it's a large festival. So much clarity, yes, but also tenderness. It is something we have been missing lately. So I'm just going to read you some poems, okay? The first one is called We Lived Happily During the War. We lived happily during the war. And when they bombed other people's houses, we protested, but not enough. We opposed them, but not enough. I was in my bed. Around my bed, America was fallen. Invisible house by invisible house by invisible house. I took a chair outside and watched the sun. In 6 months of a disastrous rain, in a house of money, in a street of money, in a city of money, in a country of money, our great country of money. We, forgive us, lived happily during the war. No, let's not clap. Let's just do poems, okay? Just poems. What I'm going to do now is read from a story universe, a fairy tale universe called Deaf Republic. It begins with an image, a scene of a pregnant woman and her husband, who in a time of civic unrest see a soldier shoot and kill a young deaf boy. And in response to that murder, they see the whole community decide to stand up and protest the authorities by refusing to hear them. Can you follow me? Okay. Deaf Republic. Gunshot. Our country is a stage. When soldiers march into town, public assemblies are officially prohibited. But today, neighbors flock to the piano music from Sonia and Alfonso's puppet show in Central Square. Some of us have climbed up into trees, others hide behind benches and telegraph poles. When Petya, the deaf boy in the front row, sneezes, the surgeon puppet collapses shrieking. He stands up again, snorts, shakes his fist at the laughing audience. An army jeep swerves into the square, disgorging its own sergeant. Disperse immediately! Disperse immediately. The puppet mimics in a wooden falsetto. Everyone freezes except Petya, who keeps giggling. Someone claps a hand over his mouth. The sergeant turns towards the boy, raising his finger. You! The puppet raises a finger. Sonia watches her puppet. The puppet watches the sergeant watches Sonia and Alfonso. But the rest of us watch Petya lean back, gather all the speed in his throat, and launch it at the sergeant. The sound we do not hear leaves the gulls of the water. No, just poems, okay? A soldier's march, Alfonso covers the boy's face in a newspaper. 14 people, most of us strangers, watch Sonia kneel by Petya shots in the middle of the street. She picks up his spectacles, shining like 2 cones, balances them on his nose, observes this moment, how it convulses. Snow falls, And the dogs run into the streets like medics 14 hours watch. Sonia kisses his forehead, her shut a hole torn in the sky. He shimmers the park benches, porch lights we see. In Sonia's open mouth, the nakedness of the whole nation. She stretches out beside the little snowman napping in the middle of the street, as picking up its ballet. The country runs. Alfonso, in snow. You're alive. I whispered to myself, searching for something, and you listened. Something runs down the street, falls, fails to get up. I run, etc. With my legs and my hands behind my pregnant wife, etc. Down Washenka Street I run, etc. It takes only a few minutes, etc. to make a man. Darkness, an insurgency begins. Our country woke up next morning and refused to hear soldiers. In the name of Petya, we refused. At 6 a.m., when soldiers compliment the girls in the alleyway, the girls slide by pointing to their ears. At 8, the bakery door is shut and soldiers Ivana face, so he's the best customer. At 10, Mama Gala chokes, no one hears you. At the gates of the soldiers' barracks. By 11 a.m., arrests begin. Our hearing does not weaken, but something silent in us strengthens. After curfew, families of the arrested had homemade puppets out of their windows. The streets empty, but voices squeaks of strings and the tap-tap against the buildings of wooden fists and feet. In the ears of the town, snow falls. Alfonso stands answerable. My people, you were really something fucking fun. On the morning of the first arrests, our men, once frightened, bound to their beds, now stand up like human mass. Daphne passes through us like a police whistle. Here as and I testify. Each of us comes home, shuts at the wall, at the stove, at the refrigerator, let himself forgive me. I wasn't honest with you. Life to you. I stand answerable. I ran, etc. With my legs in my hands, etc. I ran down Washenka Street, etc. Whoever listens, thank you for the fatherland, my tongue. Thank you for our arguments that end. Thank you for Daphne's Lord, such fire from a match you never lit. That map of bone, an open it valves. I watched the surgeon tame, the deaf boy take iron and fire in his mouth, his face on the asphalt, that map of bone, an open it valves. It is the air, something is the air, wants us too much. The earth is still. The timer guards eat cucumber sandwiches. This first day, soldiers examine the years of bartenders, accountant soldiers. The wicked then silence dust to soldiers. They tear Gora's wife from her bed like a door of a bus. Observe this moment, how it convulses. The body of the boy lies on the asphalt like a paper clip. The body of the boy lies on the asphalt like the body of a boy. I touch the walls, feel the pulse of the house, and I stare wordless and do not know why I am alive. We tiptoe the city, Sonia, and die between zetas and guardians and Rotarian guests. Be courageous, we say. But no one is courageous as a sound we do not hear lifts the birds of the water. Before the war, we made a child. I kissed a woman whose freckles are us neighbors. She had a mole on her shoulder, which she displayed like a medal for bravery. Her trembling lips men come to bed. Her hair, water falling in the middle of the conversation. Man come to bed. I walked in my barber shop of those. Yes, I lifted her off to bed on the chair of my hairy arms. But parted lips, man bite my parted lips lying under the cool sheets. Sonia, that the inks we did. Soldiers aim at us. Soldiers aim at us. They fire. As a crowd of women flees inside the nostrils of searchlights. My God, have a photograph of this. In the piazza's bright air, soldiers drag Petya's body and his head banged the stairs. I feel through my wife's shorts the shape of our child. Soldiers drag Petya up the stairs and homeless dog Venus philosophers understand everything. Embark. I, now on a bridge with no camouflage of speech, a body, wrapping the body of my pregnant wife tonight. We don't die, and don't die. The earth is still a helicopter above my wife. On earth, a man cannot flip a finger at the sky, because each man is already a finger flipped at the sky. Lullaby, lullaby. Little daughter, rain water, snow and branches protect you. Whitewashed walls and neighbors' hands. Oh, child of my Aprils, little earth of 6 pounds, my white hair keeps you asleep lit. While the child sleeps, Sonia undresses. She scrubs me until I spit soapy water. Pig, she smiles. A man should smell better than his country. Such is the silence of a woman who speaks again, silence knowing that silence is what moves us to speak. She throws my shoes and glasses in the air. I'm a deaf people and I have no country but a bus stop and an infant and a marriage bed. Soaping together, that is sacred to us. Washing each other's shoulders. You can fuck anyone. But with whom can you see it in water? Foreign bombardment. Foreign bombardment. My body runs in Arleuma Street, my clothes in a pillowcase. I look for a man who looks exactly like me, to give him my Sonia, my name, my shirt. It has begun. Neighbors climb the trolleys at the fish market, breaking all their moments in half. Trolleys parts like intestines in the sun. Pavel shouts, I am so fucking beautiful, I cannot stand it. 2 boys still holding tomato sandwiches, hopping it, rolling slide. Soldiers saying at their faces, their ears, I can't find my wife, for I is my pregnant wife. I, a body, an adult male, awaits to explode like a hand grenade. It has begun. I see the blue canary of my country. Big breadcrumbs from each citizen's eyes. Big breadcrumbs from my neighbor's hair. The snow lifts the earth and falls straight up as it should. To have a country so important. To run into falls, into streetlights, into loved ones as one should. The blue canary of my country runs into walls, into streetlights, into loved ones. The blue canary of my country watches their legs as they run and fall. A cigarette. A cigarette. Watch. Vasenka citizens do not know they are evidence of happiness. In a time of war, each is a ripped out document of laughter. Watch, God, they have something to tell that not even they can hear. Climb a roof in a center square of this bombed out city, you will see one neighbor gives a cigarette, another gives a dog a pint of sunlit beer. You will find me, God, like a damn pigeon's beak I am pecking every which way at astonishment. Firing squad, firing squad. On balconies, sunlight, on poplar sunlight, on our lips. Today, no one is shooting. A girl cuts her hair with imaginary scissors. The scissors in sunlight, her hair in sunlight. Another girl nicks a pair of shoes from a sleeping soldier, covered with light. A soldiers wake and gape at us, gaping at them. What do they see? Tonight, they shot 50 women at Lorna Street. I sit down to write and tell you what I know. A child learns the world by putting it in her mouth. A girl becomes a woman and a woman earns the body. They blame you for all things, and they seek in the body what does not live in the body. The townspeople watch them take Alfonso. Now, each of us is a witness stand. Vasenka watches us, watch for soldiers throw Alfonso Parabinsky on the sidewalk. We let them take him, all of us, cowards, what we don't say, we carry in our suitcases, our coat pockets, our nostrils. Across the streets they watch him with fire hoses. First he screams and he stops so much sunlight. A t-shirt falls off a clothes line and an old man stops, picks it up, presses it to his face. Neighbors line up to watch him drown on a sidewalk like a vadivillak. Ta-da! In so much sunlight, each of us is a witness stand. They take Alfonso, and no one stands up. Our silence stands up for us. All right, and the last poem I'll do before I get out of your hair is going to bring it a lot closer home. It's called In a Time of Peace. In a Time of Peace. inhabitant of Earth for 40-something years, I once found myself in a peaceful country. I watch the neighbors open their phones to watch a cop demanding a man's driver license. And when a man reaches for his wallet, the cop shoots into the car window. Shoots. It is a peaceful country. We pocket our phones and go to the dentist to pick up the children from school to buy shampoo and basil. Ours is a country in which a boy shot by police lies on a pavement for hours. We see in his open mouth the nakedness of the whole nation. We watch others, watch the body of a boy lies on a pavement exactly like the body of a boy. It is a peaceful country, and it clips our citizens' bodies effortlessly, the way the president's wife trims her toenails. All of us still have to do the hard work of dentist appointments, of remembering to make a summer salad, basil, tomatoes. It is a joy. Tomatoes, add a little salt. This is a time of peace. I do not hear gunshots, but watch birds splash over the backyards of the suburbs. How bright is the sky as the avenue spins on its axis. How bright is the sky? Forgive me. How bright, but you.
How incredible was that? There was something really moving about just listening to pages turn as we follow along. Very incredible. So up next, we have Katie Farris. Katie Farris is a poet, writer of hybrid forms, and translator. Her poetry has been called extraordinary by both Paris Review and the Los Angeles Review. Her work has been commissioned by MoMA and appears in Academy Poetry Review, The Nation, The Atlantic Monthly, Poetry, the 2022 Pushcart Anthology, and elsewhere. In the poem Outside Atlanta Cancer Care, Katie Farris writes, I return to this point of wonder. Farris enacts such return to wonder in poem after poem through her one-of-a-kind collection and most recent, Standing in the Chorus of Being Alive. Farris makes this repeated return to wonder in its incredible odds. Farris' wonder is far from anodyne and refuses to turn away from trend. It is instead rooted in living culture. Simone Weil called attention to the purest form of poetry, quoted. In this vein, Katie Farris pays deep, unflinching attention to both the horrors and the joy of existing inside a body, a lineage, and imagination. Such nuances are central to Farris' most recent collection. Tension is not antithetical to Farris' rendering of love, but inaugural to it, just enough to pull our day's taunt. Gratitude, too, takes on its own brand of radicalism. Thank you, Farris writes, for what eats, for the dead, and for eats the dead. And now, a return to that thank you to Katie Farris for this work which manages to encapsulate the strangest, the unlikeliest, and yes, the most wondrous condition, the condition of being alive. Everyone, Katie Farris.
Wow, what an afternoon. Thank you so much, Crystal. Thank you, Mahogany. Thank you, Janie O'Neill, if you're out there. Thank you. Thank you, MP. Thank you, Ilya. Thank you to so many people out in the audience, some of whom I've had a chance to connect with and some of whom I can't, or I haven't yet. We were talking about, Mahogany was talking about Snickers bars. I really glommed onto that, hungry as I am, about the idea of joy and pain being so beautifully mixed up with one another. And I feel like that's an important message of today. Seems something we all have in common. So, Snickers bars. Yeah. So I'm reading to you from Standing in the Forest of Being Alive. It's a pretty new book, baby. It's only been out for a month and a couple days now. It's like almost real. And the book is about, it kind of follows from my diagnosis with breast cancer in August 2020 through sort of the end-ish of a portion of treatment. And the first poem in the book is called Why Write Love Poetry in a Burning World? To train myself to find in the midst of hell what isn't hell. The body bald, cancerous but still beautiful enough to imagine living, the body washing, the body replacing a loose front porch step, the body chewing what it takes to keep a body going. This scene has a tune, a language I can read, a door I cannot close. I stand within its wedge, a shield. Why write love poetry in a burning world? To train myself in the midst of a burning world to offer poems of love to a burning world. This is called Tell It Slant. So you may have never run across the word spiculated before. It's just what doctors say when they mean spiky. Okay, spiculated. And carcinoma is any solid cancerous tumor. And Emily Dickinson, her advice to poets was, of course, to tell it slant. Not straight on, but oblique, right? Tell it slant. You float in the MRI gloam, several spiculated masses. I name you cactus. Carcinoma be damned. You make a desert of all of me. Have I said it slant enough? Here's a shot between the eyes. 6 days before my 37th birthday, a stranger called and said, "You have cancer, unfortunately," and then hung up the phone. I blame the pandemic for that, I think. It really was pretty much that brief. I said, well, can you give me any more information? And she said, no, but somebody will be in touch with you within the next 2 weeks. So I got up. Well, okay, I cried a bit first. And then I got up and I put on my clothes and I got in my car and I drove to the oncologist's office and I walked up to the front desk and I said, I don't have an appointment, but I'll be sitting right over there. And when somebody is ready to come see me and talk to me, I'll be waiting, and if that takes 3 hours, that's okay, and if somebody doesn't have any time today, I'll come back tomorrow, and if nobody can do it tomorrow, I will come back the next day. And that was the beginning of learning how to advocate for myself as a patient. And that's something I want to talk about because I feel like we don't talk about it enough, and I didn't know, and there were so many times I didn't know, and I know now. I know some now, anyway. This is called In the Event of My Death. I occasionally get the question, is that your braid on the cover of the book? And indeed, it is my braid and my long, skinny, freckly arm. And so just to give you the image of this, that was about 2 years ago, I had that braid about down to my elbows. In the event of my death. What used to be a rope descending my vertebrae to the basement of my spine grows thin. In solidarity with my first chemotherapy, our cat leaves her whiskers on the floor. I gather them, each pure white parenthesis, and plant them in the throat of the earth. In quarantine, I learned to trim your barbarian hair. Now it stands always on end, a salute to my superior Barbary skills. In the event of my death, promise you will find my heavy braid and bury it. I will need a rope to let me down into the earth. I've hidden others strategically around the globe, a net to catch my body in its weaving. The man you are, the boy you are. The man you are opens the door to your anguish, a mirror of my own. We've both grown silver around the eyes. But in your pocket, the boy you are brings me a melted candy bar. You issue commands like an old man, then take out my trash like a young boy with a crush. If marriage. If marriage is a series of increasing intimacies, a slow, sweet collapse into oneness, I would still beg your forgiveness for asking your assistance, unwinding that pale hair from my hemorrhoid. That occasionally, I find that out in the wild, that poem, like on Twitter or something like that, and it occasionally gets out of like the poetry Twitter sphere, and then there are people who are doing like some, a tax accountant or something, and they'll just post it like with like, what? Or why? I'm just out here doing my part to show that poetry can be for anyone, really. That's what I think. Yeah, anybody. This is called Outside Atlanta Cancer Care. I return to this point of wonder. Actually, I need to back up for a second. I have a biology degree, and there are a couple of things I learned from biology classes that still like kind of haunt me to this day, and one of them is just thinking about the fact how human beings came to stand up. Like, if you look at any other bipedal animal, like a kangaroo or something, have you seen the size of their feet? They are enormous in relation to their height. We have these stupid, tiny little feet, and I don't think kangaroos have backaches, for instance, but just like physics, it doesn't like us standing up. So that will occasionally just float through my mind. This is Outside Atlanta Cancer Care. I return to this point of wonder. What kind of animal began to stand on such small feet and only two? What vertical absurdity, what upright madness. Perhaps we were imitating the trees, lifting our arms, wishing for roots, and then just forgot to set ourselves down on our four more rational feet. Our longing grew our fingers longer, twigs into branches, for if you long hard enough, do you not find fruit in your palms? I return to this point of wonder. This is Emeloma, a riddle and an answer. We have had so far, we've had palindromes, and here's a palimpsest to stand alongside of it. So palimpsests you probably already know, but back in the day when they used to put manuscripts onto vellum, very expensive to produce, If the manuscript wasn't needed anymore, what they would do would scrape the ink off and write a new manuscript or whatever on top of it, right? So you could see more clearly the new words, but in the background you could see the ghost of what had been there, right? Emeloma, a riddle and an answer. Will you be my death, breast? I had asked you in jest, and in response you hardened. A test of my resolve, malignant, magnificent palimpsest. Will you be my death, Emily? Today I placed your collected poems over my breast, my heart knocking fast on your front cover. Will you be my death, chemo? The shell of myself in the sphere of time, plucking the wool of my hair from its branches. Okay, so I read in a book of Tamaz Shalamoon, who is a poet, and I think you can trust poets with a lot of things. You can trust poets with words. I think most poets, I would sort of trust my life with them, but I don't really trust facts so much. So take this with a grain of salt, right? So he said that Giotto used his sketches of sheep in order to create his studies of angels in his paintings. Subsequently, I have studied his angels a fair bit. I don't find anything particularly sheepish about them, but, you know, Shalamoon said it, and so I'm passing it on to you. Number two, you may or may not be familiar with the story of Jonah from the Torah or from the Christian Old Testament. So Jonah was a prophet who did not like his gig. He was trying to loud quit, actually, trying to just quit. And he actually just ran out of town, and, you know, there was a big storm, and he fell off of the boat, and a whale swallowed him like they do. And while he was in the belly of that whale, he accepted the inevitability that he was to remain God's prophet, and he got vomited back out on the beach. So, happy ending. For the Bible. And finally, if you're ever walking along the shore here and you find this lump of kind of grayish, yellowish, not very attractive, but absolutely extraordinary smelling stuff, call me and we'll split the proceeds. What you have found is called ambergris, and it is one of the most precious and heavenly perfume ingredients. And it also happens to be whale vomit. That is a true fact. You can take that one to the bank. That wasn't a poetry fact. A week before surgery, I practice my body. Like Giotto's angels, sketched from his studies of sheep, I open the jaws of my back to the sky, eating my body deeper into this blue. Like Jonah, vomited from the whale, fragrant as ambergris, or plain as any woman who, a week before mastectomy, practices being opened. I confess I used palimpsest more than once in this book. This is called To the Pathologist Reading My Breast, Palimpsest, and I took quotes from my pathology report. I'd been trying to write a poem about mastectomy, and this was the hardest poem I have written, and I wrote it along with Kimberly Pointe-du-Jour, MD. She does not know, I don't think, that I've stolen elements from her pathology report, but hopefully you'll be able to distinguish that from the poetry. We'll see. Specimen B, received fresh and subsequently placed in formalin, consists of a 292-gram simple-oriented mastectomy. Dear doctor, you've done your work for me in your first line with your tidy, slanting rhyme of specimen and formalin. Trying mastectomy, I thought my dear friend's pregnancy. She and I are birthdays 2 slender months apart. Both of us harboring rapidly dividing cells so near our hearts. How's that for art? Present on the interior surface is a tan, grossly unremarkable skin ellipse with an eccentric, soft, everted nipple. Beneath my grossly unremarkable skin ellipse, an inscription there of every kiss, a couple playful too-hard twists, and late-night, drunken, dare you strips. But mostly, my own holy grip as I skidded into sleep. "5 days before the mastectomy insurrection at the Capitol. It was a really shitty time. What is the door the bullet makes in the body? America, the gun, predictable, mechanical, possessed of several chambers. If I reside right by your side, must I expect your dangers? Who holds you holstered, America, the gun? What is the door the bullet makes in the body? What do we call it? Body?" After the mastectomy. This actually happened, this first little scene here. At the oncologist's office, a man stares. I stare back until he says, "People must stare at you." Why bother closing a door when everyone demands it open? I go into the world with my tongue out and my shirt unbuttoned, my keys left in the lock, a 6-inch scar instead of a nipple. How can a watchtower hide? I am well positioned to seek out fires and invading hordes, my bald head, the beacon, the first alarm. This is called Standing in the Forest of Being Alive. I stand in the forest of being alive. In one hand, a cheap aluminum pot of chicken stock, and in the other, a heavy book of titles. Oh, once, walking through a cemetery, I became terribly lost and could not speak. No one living knows the grammar. No one could direct me to the grave, so I looked at every name. A heavy bird flapped its wings over someone's sepulcher. Some of us are still putzes in death, catching bird shit on our headstones. Some of us never find what we're looking for, praying it doesn't pour before we find our names. Certain we're headed in the right direction, a drizzle begins, and what's nameless inside our veins fluoresces in the rain. This is called To the God of Radiation. And this was, for me, my cancer journey. Was first chemo, then mastectomy, and finally radiation. And I was in the home stretch, y'all. I had 5 more treatments to go. I still had 3 years of active treatment after that with targeted treatment, and 10 years after that of hormone treatments. But like for the dramatic part that we typically think of when we think of cancer treatment, right? I was almost there. And that day, my radiation oncologist pulled me aside and said, "Katie, we just did a scan, and we found something in there still. And I couldn't tell you if it was cancer or not, and we can't do a biopsy because it is too deep inside of your shoulder. And if we can boost it, we can put more radiation into it. And if we do, that radiation is going to go through every major nerve and muscle in your arm. And because I already had nerve damage from my mastectomy, she said, you're going to have problems, and I can't tell you what those will be. It might be that you can't feel your arm anymore, or that it will feel like fire every day for the rest of your life, or it could be just a little stiff. I really can't tell you what will happen. And if you decide you don't want to get radiation, if it turns out to be just a little bit piece of inflammation, then you save yourself that pain. But if it does turn out to be cancer, we can't radiate it anymore because you've had your lifetime amount of radiation. And we can't do surgery because the skin there has been too damaged by radiation and it won't heal. And my cancer is chemotherapy resistant. So basically, they wouldn't be able. The unexpected choice between uncertain death and certain damage, I find in the mirror a woman, breastless, burned, who, in an advisory capacity, asks, How much do you want to live? Enough? O God of radiation, let your light like a ship pass through me, your radiance exposing what's inside me like film a god takes. But must you clatter the eaves of my scapula, scurry the grasshopper nest of my heart, scythe my nerves, and cobweb my muscles to the rungs of my ribs? How much more can one body take? Enough! Light every deadly cell like a wick, burning in the paper lantern of my chest, a thing so ephemeral, yet held so firmly in your fist. Thank you. And this is the last poem in the book, What Would Root? Let's see. Yes, you do have black squirrels here in Massachusetts, right? Okay. Occasionally I will read this poem and people will be like, Katie, squirrels are gray. Not everywhere, not everywhere. Squirrels, like humans and panthers, are melanated as well. Penstemons are wildflowers. They're also called beard tongues, which is one of my favorite compound words maybe ever. In California, anyways, I've always seen red ones. So as far as I know, they are red. And then finally, Emily Dickinson, who is the ghost that haunts this book, of course, said that she knew something was poetry when it took the top of her head off. So this is called What Would Root? Walking through a cathedral of oak trees and bristlecone pines, scolded by squirrels in their priestly black, their white collars wagging with the force of their scolding, I was struck simultaneously in both eyes by some sort of flying detritus, pollen or seeds, and stopped to lean against a rock to scrub it, I thought, away. It was May, it was May, it was May, and the air was sweet with pine and island mountain lilac. The squirrels, I mentioned them already, etc., and the lizards ran down the spines of rocks like a bad feeling. I could see everything. Red-headed hummingbirds dipped their beaks into the little red hoods of penstemon, and I, a redhead, could hear everything. A red-crested woodpecker who was not offended, I did not know his name. Everything smelled green. It was all green, really. Even the red was anti-green. And though my eyes ached from everything seeing, I could taste the granite in the spring. Oh yes, I drank water from the ground. I was wild even then, though the squirrels scolded me and tried to convince me I was not. Soon I crested a rise. The land spread itself greenly for me, and I wished I had seed to toss into that green just to see what would root. My right eye would not close to this view. Why would it? But when I reached up to touch it, I felt a twig emerging and another from my other eye. That they were a part of my body, I could not doubt. They were living and enervated and jutting out. I sat down, feeling the hairs on the back of my neck, understanding for the first time they were not hairs, but roots. Everything was everything. The twigs in my eyes tasted sunlight with my mouth. The roots drew salt from my sweat into their vacuum, and I was no longer hungry. Everything, it was all green. The roots in my skull shifted, and I laid down beneath my own branches. I had to wiggle a bit to find a place to lay my head. The rock was very hard, and I needed softer ground. Yes, a place for the top of my head to come off, to nuzzle into the earth, to drink. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. What an amazing reading and what an amazing weekend of poetry. So we've got just a few more remarks, and to keep it brief, we're going to do this all at once. Can I have all of our volunteers, anybody who's helped over the weekend, the Mass Poetry team, our sponsors, our host committee, could we have you all stand up?
Thank you. I'm Daniel Johnson, Mass Poetry's director, and we love to open staff meetings, board meetings with poems. We can never get enough, so we're going to close out the 2023 Massachusetts Poetry Festival with one more poem. And thank you so much. This is not a goodbye. We're going to be back in Salem in 2025. We hope, there we go. We hope you will visit us at the Center for Creative Writing. In the off year, we place poets in residence in partner schools. We have a teen spoken word program. Mass Poetry is in residence at Grub Street Center for Creative Writing in the Seaport. Come learn about it. Come get involved. You've all been so generous. I'd like to share a poem shared with me by a mentor of mine, Jeannie Clark. And this is When Giving is All We Have, by Alberto Rios. I'm sure many of you know this poem well. There's an epigraph: one river gives its journey to the next. We give because someone gave to us. We give because nobody gave to us. We give because giving has changed us. We give because giving could have changed us. We have been better for it. We have been wounded by it. Giving has many faces. It is loud and quiet, big but small, diamond and wood nails. Its story is old, the plot worn, and the pages too. But we read this book anyway, over and again. Giving is first in every time, hand to hand, mine to yours, yours to mine. You gave me blue and I gave you yellow. Together we are simple green. You gave me what you did not have, and I gave you what I had to give. Together we made something greater from the difference. This festival has been made possible by amazing partners, Salem State, the Peabody Essex Museum, the City of Salem. We have over 60 sponsors who've made this festival possible. We pay all of our poets. That's a core value of ours. We've raised $100,000 towards our $105,000 goal, and that money is actually, it's ringing up now. I can hear it. We have a fire sale outside. All mugs, posters, banners, anything with the logo on it must go. We hope, if you haven't had the chance to support Mass Poetry and the festival, right outside the PEM doors, there will be volunteers and folks there. But I just want to say thank you from the whole Mass Poetry team and community. This has been nothing but love, and we can't wait to do it again. Thank you. Oh yeah, and Katie, Mahogany, and Ilya will be signing books by Wicked Good Books just down the